This is Michael Orrell of MobileBurn.com, and today I have with me the HTC S740. This is a new Windows Mobile 6.1 smartphone device. Standard edition, no touchscreen. It's a extension, I guess you would say, of the S720 and S730s that we've seen before. As such, it features a horizontally sliding out QWERTY keyboard, although in the case of the S740, like this, you can see it's a 4-row QWERTY keyboard, which makes it a much more conventional layout, a lot easier to use. The overall styling of the device is very much like HTC's Touch Diamond. You can see, glossy front, and on the back it's faceted just like the Touch Diamond, although in this case it's a kind of a soft touch matte finish, which stays much cleaner looking. It's a lot nicer to have. The gloss surface on the HTC Touch Diamond gets kind of scratched up a little too easily, and it really gets dirty looking quite quickly. You can see this is a pretty long device. Kind of looks like a TV remote control at times. Controls are pretty simple. On the left-hand side here we have volume up and volume down. Nice D-pad. It's a plastic ring around it. There's no kind of scrolling or zooming functions like on the Touch Diamond, but it is very easy to grab either from the top to the bottom or just with the fingertip. I really like it a lot. Control cluster, soft keys, home, and back buttons here. These two little plastic slabs, though, those are the call, send, and end buttons, and they're probably the biggest flaw in the design of the device. They're really kind of hard to get to. You don't have to use them too often, and you can use any key answering options and things like that to make it a little easier to answer incoming calls. So it's not that big of a deal, but keypad's quite nice. Very square, very laid out, very well laid out, and it's close to the bottom of the phone. But that's not too much of a problem. It seems to still have a pretty good feel, even in spite of the long length of the phone. Up top, simple power button also brings up a shortcut menu. For locking a device, task manager, and changing profiles real quickly. Not too much on the right-hand side of the device other than the camera shutter button. The camera, which is seen here on the back, is a 3.2 megapixel camera, just like on the Touch Diamond, except it lacks the Diamond's autofocus capabilities. The keypad, the QWERTY keyboard rather, like I said, it's very nicely laid out, so everything is where it's supposed to be. Nice space bar, separate large enter key, delete keys, there's even arrow keys here. Green function key for getting to numbers across the top row, or alternate functions for putting on vibration mode or question mark, other special characters like that. Separate control, shift, tab keys. Shortcuts for messaging and SMS, MMS, or email messaging, I suppose that would be. The keys are very flat, very tightly fitted up against each other. Not the greatest tactile feedback in the world, but it's pretty usable. I think really what would make the keyboard more usable is if it were a little more compact, like on the devices like the Trios and the Samsung Blackjacks. I think actually the width of this keyboard makes it a little problematic for typing. But it does have all the keys you need, and it's really well laid out too. So. Even has nice little LED indicators here for when you can see I have the function key on, or caps key. You can see the LED lights up. Pretty handy. So in terms of physical design, we're pretty pleased with this device. The only thing that's kind of weird is the SIM card and micro SD card slot. It doesn't go in the back, the back cover, which comes off pretty easily. You can see this would be a prime spot to put it, but the micro SD card is actually inside here. You pull that out, flip it out, and there's the SIM card, and then unfortunately you have to go underneath the SIM card to get to your micro SD card slot, which is a real pain, which means you have to turn off the device in order to swap cards out or just get to the card. So we're not real pleased with that, but otherwise no real faux pas in terms of the design of the S740. And if you're interested, there's also the S740 III, which is a US variant. It's going to have support for US 3G bands, which I'll explain a little bit more later. The last item of note on the exterior of the S740 is probably the mini USB port here. It's used for USB communications with a personal computer or a laptop, as well as wired headphone support. A wired pair of stereo headphones comes with the S740. There's no 3.5mm jack on this device, unfortunately, but you can get an adapter for this USB port here. Just for comparison's sake, we're going to show you the S740 next to another well-known device. This is Sony Ericsson's Xperia X1. You can see the S740 is quite a bit longer, although it is narrower. It's probably a little bit thicker than the X1. It's kind of hard to say. It's pretty close. Now, of course, the X1 does have that, wide VGA touchscreen display on it, but the S740 weighs about 143 grams to the 161 grams for the Xperia X1, and it's not a lightweight device by any stretch, but it's still very pocketable. It's very easy to get something this narrow in and out of even a tight jeans pocket. So, pretty practical form factor in general.